Hello, Inspiration Consultants. This is Ashley Jones, and I'm going to share with you my demonstration that I give at our Inspiration Social to help you with your event. First, when we open our software, we come to the My Inspiration Today page, and on this page, you have a very good learning section here. This is where everyone would go to learn about their software. We have daily inspirations. We have monthly inspiration webinars. These webinars are wonderful for learning. They have you have the ability to view them live, so you can actually ask questions in a classroom setting, or if you miss one, you can view them later. We have free monthly projects. These are wonderful for learning as well. They give you the ability to see a written project as well as the stitch-out instructions. Eileen's software blog gives detailed information about specific features of our software. And then you have other inspiration resources as well. You can check for the latest updates. Your updates install automatically. However, if you think you missed one, you could always compare this with the version of the software that you have. But it's also a great place to go to see what's new in our software. If you ever wonder what new feature you received when you get an update, you would go to this link to view what the new updates were for that particular month. Our manual is online. You can go there for help as well. If you go to our manual, and like I said, being online, it makes sure that it's up to date all the time. When we're adding those new features that we all love, you can go and see how to use those new features. And we have software support. If you're ever having any issue, this is where you would go to connect with our support. This area will be where your dealer information is. You can correct directly to your dealer opening your software every day. Registering for an Inspiration Social, that's what you're at today. If you want to register to see where another social is near you, that's where you go to find that. And our favorite area, our free designs. Every month you will get 5 free designs just by clicking here, and it allows you to download them into your software, and we'll talk about where those go. So I'm just going to choose a new design, and when you download those free designs, you can go in your library, and they go into this folder called Dime Free Designs, and they're organized by month. The nice thing about that is you do not have to leave your software to look for embroidery designs. So we can drag in something. This is one of our free designs for September that I really love. This coffee cup, isn't that cute? So we're going to add text. I'm going to choose my text tool. Using our text is really easy because you can edit it without deleting it. So we're just going to add coffee here. And we can choose to change the text like just anyone. We have over 230 built-in fonts, as well as 12 monogram fonts and 10 miniature fonts. And we'll talk about those miniature fonts and the monogram fonts in a moment. So let's just change the size. And I'm just going to push apply, which is kind of hidden here under my properties. So I just drag that down, apply, and look at that right on the screen. But if we wanted to edit that, we do not have to delete it and remove it. We can just make our edits in our properties box. So I'm just going to change it to a script font. I really love script that looks like writing, so I'm going to click apply for that. And I kind of wanted it to look like it was handwriting, so I'm just going to make the spaces in between smaller. And that, I think, looks better. However, I still see some gaps in a couple of these letters. So let's just zoom into that area there. And even though I changed them to be all the same distance apart, so it's mathematically correct, but it still doesn't look like I want. And we want it to look correct, right? So let's choose our select tool. And our text tool, again, brings back these icons. Any of these little handles, if you see them, move them around. It'll change your fonts in different manners. So I'm just going to drag this closer with these handles just to make it look more like what I was wanting it to look like. But you can curve your font, you can rotate it, drag it, make it larger, all of these things with any of these handles. So make sure you play around with those. I'm going to put it on a circle path because I kind of wanted it curved around my coffee cup. and just move it over my coffee cup. And as I said, you can drag these handles. We can make it a little less curved. And notice how I have not had to delete this software and put it back on my screen. So I'm going to use this little handle here in the center just to drag it around that path, because I just want it to be, oh wow, that's exactly right. Isn't that cool? Okay, so if we wanted to add more letters, we could certainly do that. And I notice I'm not having to remove it. I just delete it and put it right back on my screen. So that's using our text font. And as I mentioned, we have over 230 built-in fonts. Those are designed to be scalable. You do not have to digitize them. But we also have the ability to use true type fonts. And so let's go and look at that real quick. So if you wanted to use the true type font, you would just use the type and true type font. And then this brings up the selection of the fonts that are in your computer, like in Word, Adobe, things like that. You can download these free from the internet for personal use. And one thing I wanted to say about that is it makes your font choices unlimited. You can always find the right font for the right project. But let's just go back to our normal text. And I wanted to mention, as I started earlier, we have all those built-in fonts. If we scroll down to the bottom, and these monogram fonts are designated with a uppercase M. These fonts, you can monogram in any font, but if you choose one of these monogram fonts, there are built-in decor, and we'll talk about that in a moment. We also have 10 miniature fonts, and these fonts can be sewn out down to 3 millimeters and still be legible. They are beautiful. But let's just start a new page, and then we'll talk more about the monogram font. So I want to add a monogram, and notice I'm in a regular font, but if I want to go to one of our monogram fonts, I scroll down and I find the one that I want. I really like this monogram one, and I'll apply that on my screen, and now I have all of these built-in frames and things that we can add to our design, and it fits perfectly around the monogram. Isn't that cool? Now, I don't know about you guys, but I love monograms that are much bigger. So I am going to, let's remove the frame because we'll add one manually, and I'm just going to make this, say, 2.5 inches and apply that. And then changing our color, I can do that very simply down here by selecting the color and right mouse clicking on it. Red's my favorite color, not to mention Christmas is here. I'm sure we're all done with our Christmas sewing. But if I turn on our 3D view, notice our font has a little bit of a split here because these are larger satin stitches and they would not stitch out well being that wide. But our software has a wonderful feature that it manually splits in a random pattern. So that makes your font look more like a satin all the way across. It really does a nice blending. So I'm just going to bring this kind of into zoom here, and let's add, if we didn't want to use those decor, and let's just add our own wreath. So I'm going to choose, we have a lot of built-in shapes in our software that are very useful for the things that we do every day. So I'm just in our monogram catalog, and I'm going to choose this Christmas garland merely because it is almost Christmas and we need to do our Christmas sewing. And I wanted to mention how easy it is to rotate things in our software. We have icons right at your disposal. With one click you can center, you can mirror, you can flip vertically, horizontally. We can rotate as well, just that easy. But then we have this wonderful circle tool. And with one click, look at that beautiful wreath that it makes. But I know that I chose my monogram to be 2.5 inches, so I'm going to reduce my circle size to the area of 100 millimeter by 100 millimeter. And let's just see, look at the beautiful look that that gives. A huge difference. This is totally customizable, so if you don't like the look of that, you can change the repeats, you can change the angle, and that even gives it a little bit different look. But I really liked the one we had before, so I will just put that back. And once we say OK, it adds it to our screen. And I'm going to select everything on the screen and click one button to center everything. Look at that. Christmas done. As long as your initials are ABC, there's your Christmas present. So that's our monogram feature. Very easy to use and lots of things that we can do with it. One last thing I wanted to mention about our monogram feature before we move forward. So I'm just going to move to a new page again, and when I add a monogram, it's a regular font, whatever font you prefer, but I really like kind of a traditional look, so I'm going to add this. I'm going to change it again to just about 2 inches. And remember we talked about these handles. One of the things that you can do with these handles in any font, but I love it in the monogram, you can drag these letters around to change the appearance of your monogram. This stacked monogram is really popular right now. We can also drag it at a diagonal. So it's really just moving your fonts however you prefer. So that's using those handles, also the feature in our text. So then I'm going to start a new page. And editing our built-in designs, not just built-in, any design that you bring in, you have the possibilities to edit it. We can add text, we can use just parts of our designs. So I'm going to go, remember I said our library here is the place that we can look for our designs. Notice I'm not even leaving the software. I'm looking for the designs within my software that I want to use and bring onto my screen. Notice when I went to doing different features, I'm not leaving the software because we don't have modules. And that is really nice because we don't have to search where to do different things in different designs. So I'm just scrolling down to my designs here. These are ones that I've saved. I've just organized them in a way that works best for me. And I'm going to bring this on. This is a design that's actually free with the purchase of our software. And if I wanted to use those balloons, but I didn't want to use the lettering underneath, maybe I wanted to put someone's name or a different message. So I'm going to open up, I did a right mouse click, and I'm just going to ungroup my design. And now when I look at my sequence view, I can see each of these areas separately. So I can remove parts just by deleting it in the sequence view. I don't even have to draw a circle around it that I may or may not mess up. So I'm just going to select here just the wording and put the delete on my keyboard, or you have delete from your right mouse click. You just delete however you want. You can cut it if you want to move it somewhere else, and then copy and paste it if you want to use those words. So editing the existing designs give you the ability to use parts of designs that you want to use, so it really makes your design choices also unlimited. And then we can add our own text back to that if we want. So if this is someone's birthday and you wanted to add their name, we could easily add that back. Very nice. Editing designs, very simple. So let's move on. I think we're all intrigued by digitizing our own designs. Now we have an auto digitizer, which is this little wizard here, and if you choose, you can send your design through the auto digitizer and it will automatically convert an image to stitches. But I would like to show you something that's more of a semi-auto digitizing. And I think because we like to have a little more control, we're very creative, we like to have more control over what our software is doing. So I'm going to load a backdrop, and I am going to find, I just downloaded these images for free. So you can download from the internet. What about using little kids' artwork? Or, you know, a pattern from your quilt. You could scan in your fabric and use a pattern from that. There's multiple ways that you can do designs. So I just saved this flower. Like I said, I found it free on the internet, and I want to convert this picture to stitches. It is as simple as I'm going to choose my artwork tool. You can also choose if you know what type of stitches you want it. This is your digitizing tools here, but I'm just going to choose artwork, and then I'm going to convert it later. And then my magic wand. And I'm going to draw this just merely by clicking. I'm going to change the color so we get a little bit better visual, and I'm just clicking. So I'm basically drawing this. And we know when we're digitizing that we normally would have to lay down every point, and around curves and things like that it kind of gets a little sketchy. And watch when I just turn my backdrop off. Look at that. I just drew that simply. And I'm going to then convert it to whatever I have in mind. So I'm just selecting the red petals, and I'm going to do a right mouse click, and I'm going to do a convert to, and look at my choices. I can make it a run stitch, so it could be a quilting design. I can do satin, but those leaves are a little too big for satin. I can do fill, cross stitch. I mean, you see all of the different options I have here. So what if I just do a complex fill, and we're used to seeing what that looks like. I'll turn on my 3D so we can see. But I can convert different parts to different things. So if I just choose that yellow centerpiece and do that right mouse click and convert to, again, I'm going to convert that to a satin fill. That's a smaller area. I think that'd be great. So very nice. I'm pleased with that, except for I just was thinking about something a little different. So if I select that again, we can change our fill types, but I'm going to choose a motif just to be a little different. And I really like this one here, this 106 number. There's tons of built-in motifs, and we've actually added new recently, so there's so many options. But isn't that kind of cool? It's a little bit different. But look at this new feature that we added in one of our updates. I am just copying and pasting this flower so you can see the difference. And I'm going to select just one portion of this flower, just the red portion, and one click, the 3D effect. Watch the difference that this makes in your design. Look at that. It makes it pop off the page. I mean, come to life, right? So you could use this. I was thinking, what about if you had an applique that had just one big open area, and if you added a 3D motif fill over top of the fabric, wouldn't that make that applique jump off the page or jump off your product? Okay, so that is our our semi-auto digitizing. Notice I had more control, but say you wanted to make that an applique, you just changed your mind. And we do that a million times, right? We're women, most of us. So if we select, again, either one of these, we could do it easily, but we'll just do this one. And I just right mouse click as I did before. If we wanted to make that an applique with the click of a button, check that out. We now have an applique, cross stitch, whatever you prefer. So this is digitizing that is very customizable, extremely easy. Do we like that? Do we like that feature? Of course we do. Of course we do. We can see ourselves using that, right? Yes. Okay. So I just wanted to move along. One thing that our sewing machines will not do these days, but our software can help us with. There's actually lots of things that software can help you with. I truly think it's an extension of our sewing machines. Whatever machine you have, you can make it do many more things by owning software. And one of those things is our machines these days have enormous hoops. But if you're like me, I don't care what hoop you give me, I want to make it bigger. And the beauty of our software is if you have a big design, I'm going to just use these horses just because I know they're in a large hoop already. But I'm just going to rotate them just for our visual effect. And I'll tell you, there are numerous ways to do things in our software. You can, if you want to resize, you can drag the handles. If you wanted to make it an exact size, if I wanted that to be exactly 10 inches wide, I can do that as well. So whatever you are trying to do, our software can help you do that. So we have these horses here, and they are in, it says at the top here, they're 10 inches wide, exactly what we made, and they're 7.5 inches high. If I don't have a hoop that will fit in, then I can choose to split the design. Up here in our icons, I'm just going to click one button. It does it for me. I'm going to choose the size hoop that I have. So if I was in a 200 by 200, that's my biggest hoop that this would work with. It shows me I'm going to split it 2 times, and when I do the preview, it shows that's going to be my first stitch out. This will be my second stitch out. And I just want to point out one really nice feature. Look how it's over this little red line area. It's into this sewing area. That's a blending effect. Our software blends the 2 designs together so you won't have a definite line in your design. No one will ever know that you hooped that twice, I promise. And if they are examining your work that hard, you need to snatch it from them and slap them anyway, because they shouldn't look at it with that kind of judging eye, right? When I click Save, this automatically saves this. I'm just going to say horses. It automatically saves these 2 designs separately, and it names them 1 and 2, so I know which one to stitch out first. So I'm just going to save this design, and notice it pops up right to where I saved it. I didn't open anything additional. That's our first one. That's our second one, and it gives you a PDF if you need more additional instructions. But it went right to where I saved it. I didn't have to hunt for that. I can see up here exactly where it went. Isn't that amazing? I don't want to hunt for my designs. So I can close that out. I can choose those separately, and they're ready to go to my machine if I saved them in the language for my machine. So I'm just going to say, let's go back over here, and I just wanted to point out you could choose whatever hoop that you wanted. So if I split the design again, you could even choose, if you have a machine and you just have not been able to upgrade it, if you only have a 100 by 100 hoop, you could hoop this thing 12 times, it looks like. And do we want to do that? No, we just want to buy a new machine. But the ability is there. I just want to let you know where your software can extend your sewing machine. So after that, that brings me into placement. If you've ever wanted to do an embroidery design, this split design will give you the placement line so that you can perfectly align this design when you rehoop it. But if you are just wanting to do a continuous border, I'm going to start a new page. And in order to do that, for it to line up perfectly, we need to have placement marks so that we can do that over and over and over. So I'm just going to use this colorful thing here, this little flower, and I'm going to rotate it. And if we wanted to put this along a pillowcase edge or sheets or bottom of a towel, that would be really pretty. In order to do that, we are going to have to copy and paste just for reference here. And I would need a mark in order to tell me exactly where to place that. So we can do this by adding our placement marks with the click of a button. So I can choose which ones I want to add and click apply or click OK, and it adds those placement marks. If they were interrupting my stitches, I could move these. I could click and drag them if I needed to and then align them for the next, but they weren't interfering with my stitches. They'll be easy to remove. And now when I stitch this out, if we can visualize, I'm just going to copy that and paste it. And notice this is how you'll use your alignment marks. You will align them exactly so that when you are done stitching, you will have a perfect border. So those are our placement marks. Isn't that cool? Could you see yourself using this feature? Of course we could. So that is our software in a nutshell. There are so many more things that it will do, and I saved our best feature for last. So we have this ability. We were talking about digitizing earlier, and if this is a design that we had created ourselves, then you could run it through our click to stitch feature and choose the type of fabric that you are going to stitch it on, and it adds the proper amount of density, underlay, and pull compensation. Those are things that we don't want to know about. Underlay, we're not sure what type if we're not a master digitizer. We don't really want to know about pull compensation or how much do we add for what fabric. But just by clicking through this and clicking apply, it takes your design. Now I would really recommend this on designs that you digitize. But if you're having an issue with a design that you downloaded free, you can certainly use it. But designs that are well digitized, I don't think this is a necessary thing. It really helps if you are digitizing your own designs. And once you click next, it gives you options for choosing stabilizer, the correct stabilizer, topper, and other things that would help you make your embroidery sew out perfectly on the fabric that you chose. And then I click finish, and then it asks me where I want to save it. But even at this point, not necessarily where I want to save it is something that's wonderful about our software, but how. We can save into any format available. You can even save to the cutter formats, SVG, FCM, and that's if you have an applique and you want to cut those pieces out with your die cutter. You don't have to do trimming in the hoop. But we're compatible with every machine brand. So once you find your file name that you need and you click Save, then you are done. And those are the features of the software that I use, that I demo, that I think our customers really love.